Good evening, everybody, or morning, whatever. This is Brian Neubert from goldenblack.com, live at the University of Hawaii once again, this time following Purdue's 71-67 win over Tennessee at the Maui Invitational, setting up Purdue's title game bout tomorrow with either Marquette or Kansas. This is your rap video, and I can promise you this, for the first time ever in the history of rap videos, this will not be the most unwatchable thing you watch tonight. Because Purdue and Tennessee was really ugly. Yes, everyone, 50-some fouls, 70 free throws, whatever it was. A lot of them missed. This was mud wrestling. And it's a shame because this was a matchup of two great heavyweights in college basketball, teams that both have a chance to be among the last teams standing this year at the end of the season, and it was turned into an absolute quagmire of whistles, and Tennessee's at times best offense being fouls on defensive rebounds, and it did go both ways. Purdue got points off just touch fouls and fouls on rebounds and things like that, but you know, this was a 2.5-hour game that felt like it was a 4.5-hour game. But at the end of the day, it was a great win for Purdue in more ways than one, more than the resume stuff, more than the title game stuff, just the process of this season. Toughing out a game like this. If this wasn't, Big Ten basketball, I don't know what was. This makes Big Ten basketball look like playing solitaire. I guess you need more than one person to play basketball, so solitaire is probably not the worst. Not the best comparison, but Purdue showed incredible toughness in this game. Physical, mental, emotional, whatever it might be. They kept a cool head about things, even when things were going sideways on them with the officials. They've had a lot of practice at that, I might add. But having to play without Ross-Ade, having to overcome inexplicably missing all these free throws at the start of the game. This was a weird game. A really weird game, because Ross-Ade came in shooting 83% on probably nation-leading volume coming into this game, and he goes 0 for 5 to start the game, something like that. I think Trey Kaufman-Renn missed a pair too, and Purdue ended up missing like 7 free throws out of their first 8, something like that. Don't quote me on this because I'm just talking out of my you-know-what here. Purdue missed a lot of free throws. And then at the end of the game, Braden Smith, who's an elite foul shooter, the guy whose hands you want the ball in to put the game away, goes 0 for 4. So, damned if I can figure it out. It's just the beautiful thing about college basketball is the unpredictability. I always say that. Just when you think you know what's going to happen, something unexpected happens. And that's kind of what this was for Purdue. But for Purdue to overcome all the stuff it overcame, for Purdue to, out-tough Tennessee when, push came to shove, literally and figuratively, was a really positive thing. When you frame it up against what Purdue did yesterday against Gonzaga, when they kind of turned the game by changing the pace of the game in the second half, just falls right in line with everything I wrote last night after that game, that this Purdue team can beat you a lot of different ways. This was probably the more traditional way, per Purdue's reputation. But just a big-time wherewithal win. The thing about these events, one of the great things about these events, the reason that everyone's better when they leave these events than when they showed up, is because they really test your mettle. M-E-T-T-L-E, not M-E-T-A-L. Because these things can really go sideways on you. If you lose that first game, that next game is no picnic. And I'll take you back to the Battle for Atlantis years ago, where Purdue loses 2 games it should have won. One of them against Tennessee. And they end up in the third place game with Arizona, who was like number whatever they were. They were top 5, and it was kind of a battle of who wanted to be there least. And Arizona was that team, and Purdue really handed it to them. But these things can go downhill on you in a hurry, and Purdue has done a great job in second halves these first 2 days. Bouncing back from some much-needed adversity. I think it's really important for this team, given what everybody perceives them to be and how good they should be and how good they are, to have to experience some some rough patches, and there was a big Gonzaga run yesterday in the first half. There was a big big Tennessee run in the first half in this game, as well as a stretch where Purdue had an opportunity, I thought, to kind of separate itself a little bit. And if I've got my sequences correct, Tennessee gets 6 points from the foul line in a matter of a couple of minutes when they can't score in half-court offense. And that was another situation where the game could have turned on Purdue, and they didn't let it. They made all the plays down the stretch, or most of the plays. Some of the plays, I don't know if anybody really made plays consistently before the whistle blew and everything stopped. But just a big-time toughness game for Purdue, a big-time maturity game for Purdue, and just a huge win for Purdue, a huge win for the resume, as I've said over and over again, but also a huge win in the process of this season. And a big, big night for Fletcher Loyer, a really big night for Fletcher Loyer. I don't know, I'll have to go back and watch, but I think I wrote this morning or last night, and I'm not patting myself on the back by saying this, but I thought it would be in Purdue's best interest to run some stuff for him early, to really get him involved, really get him engaged, because his game yesterday was not what he's used to. And I don't know if they were running stuff for him. I don't know if it just came to him. I really can't remember. But he really was the difference in this game. I mean, the 27 points are one thing, but the toughness was another. His ability, just like at Arkansas, when people pressure you, people look at him like he weighs 140 pounds and they can just push him around. That's not been the reality. That's not been reality. He was good at Arkansas, and he was great against Tennessee, against teams who really get up on him, dribbling past them, and his ability to break down the defense and just get shots off in the lane. I will expand on this later, but Daryl Morey with the Houston Rockets years back was really invested in James Harden because of the shots that he takes, or he was taking, out of that ball screen offense they ran. Those little mid-range runners are the most reboundable misses you can get. When you miss. When you make them, hey, great. But when you miss them and they roll off, those are the most reboundable misses you can possibly get, the analytics tell you. Logic tells you. And when you have Ross-Ade at the rim and the ball's hanging up there, you have the best offensive rebounder in the country. The defense is scrambling because Loyer just breached it. That element against these two SEC opponents has been really impressive from Fletcher Loyer, who I think people are taking for granted. I try not to pick fights with the court of public opinion as much as I used to, but people are just taking him for granted, and they were very, very wrong today because Fletcher Loyer won this game for Purdue. He honestly won this game for Purdue, and what a win it was! Just a big time win for Purdue. All it had to deal with, all it had to get through, all of the outlier stuff that never really fixed itself. The foul shooting early did fix itself. But once again, as I said yesterday, this team is built to wear you down. This team is built to win battles of attrition, to win the game at the end. And this team is built to pin fouls on you left and right, to wear you down, both by being physical but also now playing fast. And it has shown up here in the last 8 minutes of these last two games. And, things didn't go perfect for Purdue. Tennessee got every whistle there for a while. That's the unfortunate thing about college basketball, is when the other coach is mad because he doesn't have a 7'4", 300-pound guy, and he gets teed up, then all of a sudden that his team is going to get like the next 8 calls. And that's exactly what happened. And the script completely flipped on Purdue, where Purdue's normally the one who just gets all the foul calls because they're built for that. That's how they play. And I'm not necessarily saying Tennessee isn't, but that is Purdue's MO. And, Purdue's MO blew up on it tonight for the most part. And Purdue won anyway. And that was a really significant thing for Purdue, I think. One other little comment here. I'm going to try, like I did with Jaden Ivey a couple of years ago, I'm going to put a moratorium that I probably will not adhere to on just talking after every game about how good Ross-Ade is. But yeah, I think you've watched him. You know what I'm talking about. But he's in foul trouble. He only plays 26 minutes. He missed a bunch of free throws, but he's 7 of 10 from the floor, ends with 23 points, draws 9 fouls, grabs 10 rebounds. Just unbelievable per minute productivity, on top of all the hidden productivity that he gives you with the wear and tear he puts on the opponent, with the fouls he pins on the opponent. And he's a very good player. In case you needed to be reminded of that. The intangible benefit and the intangible value he has for Purdue, I'm not even sure you can quantify it. And now that you've got this situation where when he's out of the game and you've got Trey Kaufman-Renn, you can pop in there and he'll do positive things for you. It just makes Purdue really, really hard to beat, man. You're going to have to play a really good game against Purdue. You're going to have to, a lot of stuff's going to have to go your way. Purdue's going to have to miss every three it takes. And, Purdue's doing a nice job defensively, making people beat them with tough shots. When you look at that really hard three they made late in the game, first of all, Braden Smith got picked off by the most moving screen in the history of moving screens. If you go back and watch it, it was a Ronnie Lott special. But also, it was a really tough shot. It was a guy just taking a playground step back three, and he made it. And that's one of those things where if they're going to make that, there's not a whole lot you can do. So Purdue's doing a great job making people really earn their offense. I don't know what the numbers say about Purdue's defense, but the eyeball test tells me that. And they got to cut out the turnovers, and they got to seal off the defensive glass. Those two things combined are the blueprint to beating Purdue at this point in time. They are what has to happen to Purdue to beat them, on top of a variety of other things right now. And I'm not saying Purdue can't play well and get beat by a team that plays better, but the fastest track to Purdue, getting beat is turnovers and offensive rebounds. And the live ball turnovers have got to stop. They've got to stop. I thought Purdue did a better job today of making their turnovers dead ball turnovers instead of live ball turnovers, but that's a backhanded compliment because they're turnovers nonetheless. And when you're as efficient as Purdue is, and when you can get fouled as often as Purdue can, and you're just as good offensively as they are, you need those possessions. And I don't think that is any sort of blazing hot take here, but I think Caleb Furst, just moving around here on you, Caleb Furst played really well. He's one of those guys where you look at the box score, 0 for 3, and he absolutely has had a hell of a 2 days here in Honolulu. Just with his energy, with his physicality, with the number of fouls he's drawing just by trying. And I think you can't say enough about him. I think this is a team you kind of have to really watch to understand everybody's place in things. And Purdue is still a work in progress. I think everybody's still figuring out their place here. But there's going to be a lot of little things about this team, about this guy or that guy, where you really have to watch it to understand it. I think Caleb Furst has had 2 of those games here in Honolulu, and that's a good thing to have when you have a guy as talented as him, as physically gifted as him, who just plays really hard and just throws his body around. Productivity tends to find them, and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I got here from Hawaii. Day 2 of 3. Tomorrow, I don't know what's going on in there right now, but it's going to be Marquette or Kansas. Marquette was up 10 at half, threatening to screw us out of Hunter Dickinson, Zach Edey round, whatever it is. I think that'd be really fun. So that's what I got. So that is your incoherent rap video for the night, but at least nobody fouled out while I was doing this 14-minute video. So thanks a lot, everybody, and thanks to the Purdue Union Club Hotel, who I believe I forgot to thank at the outset of this video because I'm a space cadet. Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. And thank you for processing our materials, however it is you process our materials. And I will talk to you guys again tomorrow night after Purdue plays either Marquette or Kansas. Thanks, everybody.